Hey guys, Frank here with another episode of Modern Church Leader. I am with Carl Barnhill talking about all things church marketing today. Carl, how's it going on, man?
What's going on, Frank? Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think this is round two. I feel like we did a podcast like years ago because I remember the background and everything. And obviously we've chatted other times, but I feel like this is round two.
I know I've probably had you on ours, and I don't know if I've been on yours. So I think you need to put me on the payroll by now. I think that's
It's talent line item.
That's right. Talent line item.
Oh,
No,
well,
man, always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. I mean, you've been, a Christian entrepreneur, business guy for a long time. Why don't you give us a little bit of the story? Like, how did you get into doing church visuals and fast forward into kind of the company you have today?
Yeah, so I kind of started my career. I mean, I did kind of the normal, restaurant round when I was a teenager, but I really started my career at a place called Precept Ministries International. It was a lady named Kay Arthur, was a Bible teaching a Bible teacher.
Yeah.
It was like a older ladies Bible teaching program. That's a kind of a not TBN, but almost kind of Bible teaching program on one of those kind of channels.
Yeah.
But I came in as a junior editor. This is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then within like 6 months, a year, we had a team of probably 10 or 15 folks on the media team. And this is an international ministry. I mean, the show went to like 100 million homes. I mean, it was like
Wow.
huge. So I came in as just like a junior editor with huge beta tapes. I mean, we were sending, this is, 20 years ago, I had this whole, room where we're duplicating tapes and mailing it off to TV stations and stuff like that. So that kind of environment is where I started. But within 6 months or a year, like my boss left and then his boss left. And so I found myself like a young 20-something. And they asked me to take over the media department. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, I have no experience to do this. And so there I was producing and directing this TV show. And then I led a team of probably 10 or 15 folks, all older than me. But it taught me a lot on how to treat people, how to lead, how to lead when you're younger and
Yeah.
things like that. And so then I went from Precept to a large church in Mississippi. And that church was running probably 25,000 on a Sunday or so, probably
Wow.
somewhere around there. Four campuses, 5 campuses. And I was like the main live production guy on the main campus. And this is before like Resi. This is before like some of that stuff. So we would record a center screen and a side screen, separate cameras, and like put it on hard drives, then put the hard drives in like a suitcase, like nuclear football, and like drive it across town and hook it up at another campus.
No way.
It was hilarious. But I was the live production guy at this church, and then I was the only content creator. So so I realized at this church, if I'm at a church of this size and I'm like the only guy, there's no way a church of 5,000, 2,000, 200
Right.
is going to afford a guy like me or, even think about hiring a creative staff. So this is probably, 15 years or so ago. And so that's what kind of percolated this idea of God kind of laying in me a heart for how can a lot of churches have high quality media content affordable to them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is before all, a bunch of the marketplaces were out there and stuff.
Right.
So that's where the idea started. And then, so I kind of dabbled on the side and then went to New Spring Church in South Carolina, served there for a little bit, but kind of grew the business on the side. And then the boat was close enough. And so I jumped. And so it was me for a little bit, and then my wife and I, and then it grew quickly after that. So it started out with just me, and then now there's about 30 of us all together, designers, video, folks like that. But it's all about helping ministry leaders communicate the gospel using visual media.
Right.
So not about like entertainment, but more about how can you have high quality visual media to communicate the
Yeah.
gospel.
And
So,
I love that.
yeah.
That's a cool story, you know. And things have come a long way from 20 years ago or 15 or so years ago when you kind of
Yeah.
had the idea and started doing it.
Yeah.
What have you seen? Like, how have things changed from your vantage point on all of this in the last 15 years?
Man, it's been interesting. So I started the company in 2015, kind
Like,
of
what were you doing
officially.
in 15? What kind of things were you doing for churches at that point?
Yeah, so church announcement videos were big, right?
Okay.
So they would, I had churches that would shoot their talent at their campus and send it to me, and I would produce all of their announcement videos, motion graphics, and put it all together for their thing every Sunday. So I had a
Okay.
slew of those, and then a lot of lyric videos. So Seeds Family Worship was a big client that came along kind of early for me, and so they had like 12 albums worth of word for word scripture, and so they had me create lyric videos to every single one of their songs. So, and then it became a lot of like sermon bumper videos and testimony videos and things like that. And then it quickly got to where like I couldn't keep up by myself. And now, to be honest, I rarely do. I still dabble a little bit, but now it's mainly running the business and kind of
Right.
overseeing as opposed to actually getting in the dirt. And
Yeah.
my Adobe suite's probably a couple versions behind. I'll put it that way.
I mean, as it should be, as you grow a business and you
Yeah.
guys expand and give yourself the ability to serve more churches.
Yeah.
But 15 years ago, you're doing announcement videos and some sermon bumper stuff and things like that. Like, what are you guys
Yeah.
doing today? Like, how has it changed, or has it changed much in that sense over 15 years?
Yeah, I would say church announcement videos aren't as big of a thing. In fact, we kind of talk to churches that are considering that and going, "Is this is this the most bang for your buck? Like, are people watching this, or
Right.
could you spend your money on life change story videos, or things like that that would be a really
Hmm.
big impact for you?" So now we do a lot of we serve the church with ready-made media, which is like pre-made stuff, mini movies and series kits and things like that. And then custom media, we serve a lot of churches, but we also serve a lot of really large ministries.
Yeah.
So folks like Awana or Answers in Genesis or Outreach or you guys that are doing like larger things. So like for instance, Answers in Genesis, we've worked on their VBS for the last probably 7-8 years,
Got
building
it.
out lyric videos and graphics for units and drama videos and animated Bible story videos and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
multiple curriculums and multiple like big huge kits or big build outs, that sort of thing. Smaller
Right.
churches as well, or smaller, single projects as well, but that's a lot of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Why does this stuff like matter? Like, maybe go back to the
Mm,
origin of it, but like
mm,
a lot of churches, I don't think about marketing and think about the types of pieces of marketing.
mm.
Obviously churches are trying to, get people to come in the doors and, hear the gospel and get into the Bible and get into, community and hear about Jesus and all that, right? Like that's a thing. And,
Yep.
but how they do it has changed over the years, and like the
Yep.
visual and the online aspect of it is a big deal nowadays. But I'm just not sure
Yeah.
if a lot of churches think about it, or even think about marketing. Sometimes you hear people talk about marketing in a negative way associated with kind of the church and whatnot. So yeah, what's
Yeah.
your take? Like, why does this stuff matter, and what's it all about?
Man, I would say your visuals matter, and you hit on this. Your visuals matter because the gospel matters. If we're, and I'll get to kind of some marketing stats for you, but um, we partner with churches and ministries not to entertain your audience. That is not
Right.
what we're about. You can find, high quality stuff in other places, or we partner with you to help you visually communicate the gospel. I only hire believers. I don't really go like a Upwork or Fiverr route. Not that those things are, not bad in certain instances. But it's not like, I'm hiring an international team that's going to do it for cheaper, and then I'm pocketing the money. That's not. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case always. But I'm just saying we only hire believers that are all about the church, that are all about helping you as the ministry leader communicate the gospel. Because if we put a video together, like, you have to have the Holy Spirit in you to know not only, how to kind of script that, but also the visual components of how to tell that story. If you're not versed in the Bible and not really following Jesus, the visuals are going to come out a little wonky,
Right.
and you can kind of tell whether that's a denominational thing. I'll give you a practical example. Like, if I see a Mary with a halo, or a baby Jesus with a halo, I know that that's more of a Catholic bent.
Right.
And not to say that some Catholics aren't Christians, but I'm just saying that there's a bent that we serve kind of a certain denomination. We probably kind of stay in the Baptist, Methodist, more Assemblies of God, those kind of mainstream denominations, that, like, you can just kind of tell how we're crafting the story, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so you kind of have to have the Holy Spirit. So there's that. From a marketing aspect, I'll give you a couple of stats. So millennials is a big question that I get at. How do we reach more young families, millennials,
Right.
to bring them in, because our church is
Millennials are
trying
old
to grow.
now. Like, we're
Oh,
old.
that's true. That's true. How do we reach the next generation? It's probably a better question. And millennials, especially, though, let's pick on them for a second. Make a purchasing decision. This is in the secular marketing market. 85% of millennials will make a purchasing decision based on watching a video. Now, is the Holy Spirit a product that we're trying to sell? No, not really. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, that if you want to reach younger people, the stats on using video are through the roof. I mean, the video consumption is crazy through the roof.
Right.
Video is the way to go.
I mean, if you're not, you'd have to have your head under a rock and not be paying attention to the fact that, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts video, that's where people spend all their time. Maybe Facebook, right? Kind of video reels now, right? But like the video content on those platforms is what, all the young people, and not even just young people. I mean, it's going to everyone now, but young people, short form videos where it's at.
We yes, on social, definitely. In our churches, though, I am kind of surprised, because the stats are, I mean, I do a workshop where I kind of go through the stats on this, and if a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Well, there's actually an argument that the stats show that our brain processes visual media 60,000 times faster than text. So we're understanding a visual 60,000 times faster than reading a word or hearing a word. And that makes me think, like, man, we're really talking a lot. Our pastors are, not that I don't love a good sermon, but 30 to 40 minutes of every single Sunday is you talking and me listening, with very little visual content to help me understand that. If you were to add more visual media, I think that the chances of that gospel sticking more would be a lot greater for you.
I mean, that's a great point.
I
don't know the stats on it, but I'm assuming, even if you looked into it, right? Like, we know different people learn in different ways, and some people learn by reading, some people learn by writing, some people learn by watching, some people learn by doing, right? There's like lots of forms of people learning. And so if you walk into any church, you're going to get that whole spectrum. So it just makes sense that you're trying to kind of incorporate like all of those elements, and visual and media being a big part of it.
Right. Yeah. So I just took my family on a vacation to Universal Studios, and some of the coolest rides were those that hit all of my senses. Right.
Yeah.
The Spider-Mans and the Transformers and stuff like that. That like my body's being moved. You're engaging me visually like crazy. I'm wearing 3D glasses. You're spraying water at me. You're spraying wind at me. You know, it's very immersive. And I knew what to tell you right off. Like Spider-Man and Transformers, right? Like those are the ones that I remember the most because they engaged more of my sense. I think there's an argument for that. Like engage. There's a lot of people that learn visually and process visually. And so even a picture or a video or something like that would, on social media and in your worship experiences, would go a long way.
Makes a difference. I mean, I can't wait to see the church that introduces wind and water misting into the seats to go along with the preaching.
Yes, or zappers, or like vibrating.
The seats move. It's one of those like seats that you know. Oh my gosh,
right.
that would be crazy. Yeah,
exactly.
We did Universal a year or so ago, and it was awesome. I remember I don't remember Spider-Man, but I remember Transformers for sure. The kids love that one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good times. But are you guys doing much on the social media side of things with churches? Or do you get asked about it a lot? Do you know, are people curious on how to do well over there?
Yeah, they are. I think we do get a good chunk, but I would say that, you know, there are a lot of AI tools out there that instead of reinventing that wheel, we usually partner with church.tech or with I know you guys have an AI, have some AI tools, or sermon shots. You know, my buddy Corey Alderin over there, you know, folks like that are doing some really interesting things in the space when it comes to sermon clips.
Right.
And kind of clipping up your thing, your longer form piece. That, I mean, that's probably a route that I would go. I mean, we're glad to do it, but I would probably go that route when it comes to your clips. What we usually do is like a longer story and then clip that up into bits.
Okay,
you know,
got it.
They have us do church has us do a promo video or a testimony video or something like that, and we can chop it up into smaller.
Right.
And I would highly suggest that, like, if you're gonna spend the money on custom media, get as much legs out of that thing as possible. You know, put it. I mean, air it on your worship experience. Put it in your countdown. Put it in pre-service. Put it on social media, everywhere.
Right.
People aren't going to remember it.
If you're going to spend money on putting on a Sunday service and having someone preach, and then maybe having visuals go along with like their sermon on a screen, and maybe that's got pictures, maybe it's got video, maybe it's got testimony, like all of that, like that whole thing is a big piece of content that can be like chopped. I mean, that's the beauty of these like sermon clip kind of platforms, right? They can help you extend that Sunday sermon onto social, and you know, even out like just direct to your members throughout the week. You know, it doesn't have to just be on social, but in your newsletter, on your website, all those kind of places. Just makes sense.
I think you bring up a good point, that I think that churches need a mixture of produced pieces and raw pieces. What I mean by that is, like, your sermon bumper, your promo video, that probably needs to be more produced, like from a team like us. Your daily devotion from the pastor's office, I'm going to expound on my sermon, that needs to be your iPhone from your desk,
right?
And be put on social. Like, have a mixture of those things on your platform.
I totally think more pastors, church leaders should do that kind of thing, right? Like, do the daily or weekly, or, you know, whatever, like devotional type of thought, or like something where you just bust out your iPhone and you can script it, you can think about it, you can kind of have something, but like, just bust it out and then post it on your socials, and your congregation, like the people who are, going to your church, want to hear from you. And
I would say take your 40-minute message that you're used to preaching and shave 10 minutes off of it, and let that 10 minutes of content be your social media content for the rest of the week.
Like plan for it almost.
Plan for it. Like you're already writing it. Like I've written 5 points. 4 of them we're going to talk about on Sunday. I'm going to give you the 5th point this week.
I love that idea. That's like such a good idea. And you could build from there. Like, oh, you're going to get the 5th point on Monday, and then maybe on Tuesday, it's like, we're going to talk about like the small group discussion format based on it. I'm going to share a couple points on leading a great small group based on the topic this week. And, you could kind of build on where, 2, 3, 4, 5 days after the sermon, you have things that are just coming from the sermon.
So you could do it live, which would be awesome. Or you could sit down on a Sunday afternoon, record 5 of them, and hand them off to your team.
Right.
And there's your reels, 1 a day for the next 5 days.
Right. For the next 5 days.
That's how I shoot our podcast. My podcast is I shoot in bulk. Like that's the only way I can survive.
Right.
It is batch stuff. So, I mean, you can go live intermittently, but like produce batches worth of stuff.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, totally. North Coast, a big church in town, they do like the daily devotional. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but they'll, I'm almost certain they produce them in batches related to the sermon series that's going on. They have a bunch of different pastors from the church kind of take their, okay, you're going to do the next 5, you're going to do the next 5.
Yeah.
And they send them out, every day throughout the week. They use their app, they send the push notification. I'm sure it goes out via text and email too. But they do a great job with it. And I think it's such a great, I saw that, a few years back. I'm like, it's a great idea, because it's like daily content from the church, and they're able to do it on a big budget, big church. But it doesn't have to be done like that. It literally can be done just with your iPhone and some foresight into what you want to do, right? And kind of thinking about it. And once you've done it a couple weeks in a row, it'll just be like clockwork, because you'll be comfortable with it all.
Get into a rhythm of doing it. Yeah. I mean, I think that with AI, with your phone, there's a lot more tools now, obviously, to use.
Yeah.
I still think there always will be a need for a person, creatives in the mix. There needs to be, if AI is a robot, there needs to be somebody programming the robot, training the robot, telling it what, this is our voice, this is our brand, this is how we talk, this is our theology, this is our, there always will be humans involved to craft that. So yeah.
What's your,
I don't know how tangent on AI for you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you brought it up. So what tools, you mentioned a few, are there any others that you're like, oh man, we're using these, at my firm, or you're seeing churches use them, or you're hearing pastors talk about them? Like what kind of AI stuff is out there in the wild?
Man, I don't think that a lot of churches have fully embraced it. I think some have. I mean, your Midjourney, your Leonardo, your Ideogram, your Chat GPT, obviously, your things like that are definitely out there. I think that the biggest and churches are using those. I do think that like there's still some learning of prompts, learning how to do this, and then that doesn't do text right, which floors me. Like I don't understand how AI can't do text well. You can scour the internet and come up with, I want to picture an image of Tom Hanks, and it's going to scour the internet of all these Tom Hanks and give you Tom Hanks, but it can't write, hello. which is hilarious to me. But when AI can do text, I think it's going to be another big game changer. But I mean, Church.tech is a big tool that we're partnering with now. That is used a lot for sermon prep. And so you can put all your information in there. You guys have a tool as well, right? I think you do.
Yeah. We
that I've
did a
talked to your
little,
team about.
yeah, we did a little side project. It's called Sermonly. There's another one that's kind of gaining steam called Pulpit.ai.
Yeah.
I think they're doing some cool stuff over there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
there's
the next step in that, and I'll kind of peel back the curtain a little bit for people, is to integrate media content with those types of tools.
Right.
And so that's what we're working on now is how do you move from a Sermonly or a Church.tech where I'm crafting my sermon and my sermon series, and then now it's auto-populated with all the imagery that I can use for my sermon.
Right.
Based on my content that I'm,
like,
training my robot to put out.
Yeah,
right?
like it's kind of taking the outline you've written and it's taken maybe the key verse and your key points and some of the, things, again, just taking your outline and it's like, oh, you're doing a sermon and like you're using scripture about Moses. And so I'm going to give you some visuals that kind of go together,
That's
and
right.
they may be good or bad, but you get to choose, but we're going to surface some stuff for you to go along with your sermon.
That's what we're working on now is, can I put in, I'm doing the Gospel of Mark, here's my passages, here's and we, like, from our library, we've already done 17 series on Mark. We're going to give you all of these pieces that you could pull in, and now it, is integrated together. I think you're going to see more and more of that. Like this piece works with this piece, now works with this piece. Like, I think you're going to start to see all that kind of come together.
Right.
But man, lightning speed, how fast the AI, we built a new website last year and I was writing a course that I just couldn't finish. We had other things on the plate. That was an AI course. Okay, so I'm still kind of in the middle of writing it, but I've had to go back and write it again and write it again.
Yeah. You might as well scrap it. Just start over from the beginning.
I know, right? Because it's hilarious how fast stuff's moving.
Are there any tools that you guys are using at your agency? Like what kind of AI tools or exploring maybe? Like what's going on there?
So we've used Midjourney. We've used Runway ML is another tool that we've used. We have toyed with some AI voice work. Man, that gets kind of scary, especially like HeyGen and places like that are. I put in one thing where like I used my podcast and I put in clips from my podcast as a reference point.
Right.
And it spit back out a video, and I put it in a script, and it spit back out a video of me saying that script with my mouth moving to the script.
Scary.
And so you put it. I didn't shoot that at all.
Right.
I didn't say any of that. But it was kind of clunky, but like, I'm like, man, the next step on this is going to be freaky.
So you took like a bunch of YouTube URLs, popped them in to feed it, and then said, here's the script, have the, put it together, boom. And it was like,
here's my, in fact, in this studio. So it knew the studio and it's, trained on me and then trained on my mouth and then went to the script and made me talk those words in my voice.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even want to do that.
And then I could go translate to Spanish.
Pastors are going to be doing this. I mean, I've been hearing from different pastors, mostly big churches, talking about the translation thing. Like take my YouTube video, the sermon from last week, translate into 50 different languages.
I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah, totally.
That's where I think we can use the tool to our advantage. I do think, I mean, you have to be very careful. We haven't like gone full bore into creating a bunch of graphics or video content using AI
Right.
simply because of the legal end. I mean, obviously, just like you guys, like we want to operate with as much integrity as possible.
Right.
And there's just so many questions surrounding it right now still that it's kind of hard to like, do we want to go full bore?
Right.
When is it legal to do this?
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when like
Yeah.
Getty's being sued, and I mean, I'm like, we've done a
Yeah.
few things. We did this really cool, like this fantasy author has a group of books that we did some promotional like trailers for.
Right.
It was really neat because we used this. We used Runway ML and some other tools and created like an AI world of these fantasy dragons and stuff, kind of like Narnia meets Lord of the Rings kind of thing.
Right.
Which was neat because the studio saw it and now she's under contract with, and like could be a TV show or movie.
That's so cool.
So it's neat, but it's also like, how much do we want to take the human element out of the mix?
Right. Yeah.
I think we just got to kind of pick and choose those projects.
Yeah. It goes back to your point earlier. I mean, you still need the thinker and the human, and in our context, the Christian filled with the Spirit who is, bringing that to the whole thing, like that
Yep.
can't go away. It's like the day that goes away, like then everything is going to get weird.
Right.
So
absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could talk AI for a bit. What I guess, just so we don't take all day here, what are you guys thinking about next? Are you thinking mostly AI stuff? Are there new things emerging with church marketing, church visuals that you're, getting into more? Or like where are we headed?
Right now, I mean, as far as us as a company, we're headed to, I think I hate to be kind of political, but the economy landscape is in a much different place right now. And so I think that churches are constantly looking for, yes, we want to enhance our visual media, but we want it as cheap as possible.
Right.
So I'll always kind of say like, I think churches are after like a Ruth's Chris experience on a McDonald's budget. And so how do we get there? So I've, kind of fought that for a while, that like, hey, you're trying to do something that's over your budget. Well, instead of fighting it, we've kind of leaned into it and said, okay, how can we do this? And so we just launched some custom media plans that include our library, that include our training, to just try to make it affordable for the church. Because, I mean, either churches are seeing creative staff stay for under 3 years is the going rate. I mean, they're not staying long. So how, and they're like, man, we really need a graphics guy and a video guy and
right.
And that, so how can we afford that? And so we're trying to kind of come into the market and say, what if we did all of it for you for less than a part-timer?
Right.
And it's really high quality. So we're trying hard to do that. So I would say that's where we're headed as a company, is to make high quality visual media affordable for a church of any size.
Right. Love that.
I would say kind of the next iteration of AI is definitely, on the radar. I would say probably, to go back to the integration, like that's probably some areas that we're headed down, is how do we use AI tools and visuals together? Can those tools come together at all? That's probably a big next step that we're about to take. But that gives you a little bit.
Well, I look forward to you doing your session on AI at the conference in October.
I'll have to I'll rewrite it the night before I do it, just to make sure.
Yeah, just do it the night before. It'll be ready. AI and church visuals, how they're meeting together. Do some cool demos of whatever new product showed up the day before. And it's going to be fun, man. Do you have a topic thought out for the conference in October?
So I think one thing I'm really thinking about is that why do your visuals matter?
Yeah.
Why should you use more visual media content in your worship experiences and on social, and just kind of lay out the stats for that, and just kind of show people from adults to students to kids the stats on video. And
Yeah.
if I hear it constantly of either our church is declining or we want to reach our community. Shockingly, I've heard some revert, like, oh, we don't really want to grow. I'm like, well, you should be wanting to grow.
Yeah.
Um,
In some
so
way,
I
like, we
correct,
should always
yeah,
all be growing somehow, some
yeah,
way. Doesn't have to be
exactly,
numerically.
right, yeah, exactly. And so I think the stats on video are overwhelming in order to do that. So that's what I'm kind of percolating right now. But
Yeah.
we're a
Love
few
it.
months off, so we'll see if I can bring the heat
Yeah,
for
we
you.
got time. What as we wrap, man, where can folks go to check out church visuals?
Yeah, churchvisuals.com is our website.
New website.
And brand new website. Yeah, we rebranded last year. So we were 1230 Media, and so now we're Church Visuals. And so we rebranded to just kind of make it simpler what we do and what we want to be
Right.
known for. And that is your visual media content. And so yeah, churchvisuals.com. And then, just to kind of go back, it's interesting that like we're not about helping you look great or save time just for the sake of those things.
Right.
Like and the more kind of pastors that we see with moral failures and congregations that are declining and stuff like that, and the gospel is so important that it's not about entertaining people, it's about sharing the gospel with them. And so
Mhm.
visual media is a way to share the gospel where it will really stick. And so that's what
Yeah.
our team is about, is kind of partnering, getting in the trenches with, and getting down and dirty about how can we be creative with visual media so that you can reach people for Jesus.
Yeah.
So
Love that, man.
that's it.
Love what you guys do.
Yeah.
Huge fan, and definitely everybody watching, come to Carl's session at the conference, but also go to churchvisuals.com and check out what they're up to. Carl, closing words, man. Where should folks check you out? Are you on the Insta?
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
of
at
the
Carl Barnhill everywhere on social. Man, just I'd say parting words. Man, we love you guys. So we connect a lot at conferences, mutual friends and folks on your team, and we do some custom media work for you guys, and just have been great partners over the years. So love what you guys are doing, and just kind of I know you guys keep expanding and keep
Yeah.
coming out with new tools. So it's really fun to be partnered with innovators, too. And
Yeah.
like, let's look
Oh,
ahead. So way to go.
absolutely, man. No, I appreciate that. Always trying to grow. And yeah, you've been a great partner too. I know Justin and the marketing team on our side love working with you guys. So it's been
Yeah.
a blast. And if you're
Yeah.
watching, man, go check out Church Visuals. And that's a wrap. So Carl, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Frank.
Cool. See you guys. We'll check you out next week on another episode of Modern Church Leader. Bye-bye.